Hey everyone, Tori Tier here, a Writing Center employee for the last 3 years, also a PhD student in systematic theology under Dr. Greg Allison, and I'm happy to be here with you. I'm doing an online workshop for SBTS formatting, what we call a crash course in SBTS formatting. There's a separate video that will be made in the future on maybe what we can call mega formatting. Things of the nature regarding the dissertation template, which is the template we use for THM theses, any like multi-chapter master's thesis, PhD dissertations, EDD, DMIS, DMin, DAdmin projects, any of those high-level end-of-degree projects that have multiple chapters and so require special formatting, the chapter headings, the tables, figures, appendices, table of contents, things of that nature. That is covered in a separate video, a separate workshop. Today, we're just focusing on the crash course to SBTS formatting, namely with regard to the research paper template and the book review template. The research paper template is the template that you would use for really any assignment, even if it's not a research paper. That's basically not a book review. So if it's an exegetical, if it's a personal reflection, anything not based on a book, you would use the research paper template. Anything book review related, you would use the book review template. So a book reflection, a book engagement or interaction, and a book review. So I'm going to show you both of those and just kind of give you kind of the introductory elements of using those templates and some pro tips on how to navigate them well. First, what I like to always do is introduce the Writing Center itself and the services we provide to the students. So let me share my screen with you and just direct you to our main page. So if you just Google SBTS Writing Center, this would be the first thing that pops up. And the services that we offer are many. The most commonly used one is paper submission. Just click this button and there's some boxes you can fill out. Probably the most important two are at the bottom. One is assignment instructions. You can just copy and paste the instructions. That helps your reviewer kind of know, we're familiar with a lot of different assignments, but maybe there's certain nuances of this professor's assignment. You can just copy and paste that, and that way we know what we're looking at and maybe the professor's expectations. The bottom box you can use to type in any information that you think the reviewer needs to know, specifically regarding your needs. So when you submit a paper, maybe you want help with grammar, syntax, flow, argumentation, things about writing style, you can indicate that. We also have footnotes, bibliography citations, and Bible citations. Maybe you want help with citations. And finally, maybe you want help with formatting, which is what this workshop covers, but maybe there's some formatting issues and you're not really sure how to proceed. You can specify that you're looking for 1, 2, or more of these categories. You can also ask specific questions in that box. There's no text maximum, so you can say whatever you would like. Whatever you need, we will help you with. So the more that you specify, the more direct our help can be for you. The two basic rules for paper submissions are 1 paper a week. So today's Thursday, just so happens to be. So you would wait 7 days and you would not submit another paper until next Thursday at least. That allows us to manage the volume with bachelor's, master's, doctoral students, 1 paper a week. The other thing is, this isn't really a rule for you, it's more a rule for the Writing Center, is that we will give you 1 hour of help on your paper per week. It's limited, but again, we have to manage the volume. So you can expect, if you submit a paper, we'll review it for an hour and give you feedback. You can wait 1 week and you can submit another assignment. You could even submit the same assignment multiple times for further feedback, maybe if the reviewer wasn't able to complete the entire paper. Another rule is not so much a rule, but more of our policy. We really do try to get your papers back to you in 2 to 3 weekdays. Sometimes during midterms and finals, it takes a little bit longer, just more volume, more deadlines. But we do strive to be as prompt as possible. Cannot guarantee that if you submit a paper at like 8 p.m. on Friday, that it will get reviewed before Monday. We do sometimes work on weekends, but no guarantees on that particular item. The other service we offer is in-person and online meetings. So you can schedule an appointment by clicking this button. We can do Zoom meetings if you're a distance student or are just not available during our office hours, or if you are on campus in Louisville, you can come by the library in room 225. That's the glass room on the second floor next to the computers. And you can schedule an appointment and come by and chat, bring your paper, bring your questions, whatever you need. If you don't schedule an appointment and you walk in, if there's a writing center expert, but there's no student with that expert, feel free to walk in and chat. Another thing is our resources page, which you can click this button to travel to. That'll take you to this page. We have many different things for you here. For example, workshops like this one. You'll see the schedule for the future workshops, and this is fall 2021. So you would see the workshops for fall 2021. But probably the most helpful is the resources tab. Notice there's several. The general resources is what I'm about to go to. Doctoral resources are more for doctoral projects, specific projects and requirements. The Programa Hispania is what it sounds like. It's resources in Spanish for Spanish speakers, but specifically writing in the Spanish language, their assignments. This is not just international students writing in English. That's actually the fourth category, international student resources, which as of August 2021, this is a brand new tab with brand new resources. So we hope this is beneficial to you. But we're going to go to the general resources page. This is probably the most commonly visited. This is where you'll find most of our, like I said, most commonly used resources. For today's purposes, we're going to be talking about the research paper template and book review template. All these other guides are helpful, Bible references and translations. A lot of these guides will actually be built into the SBTS manual style 5.2 when we complete the update. Again, August 2021, it should be done soon. So if you're watching this video in the future, hopefully it is already available for you. So if you were to start a new paper or a new assignment, you would, if you don't have it already, you would click this button or this one and you would download the template. We're going to jump right into that. So here is the book review, the research paper template. This is again going to cover assignments that are non-book review related. Notice a couple of things. First of all, you'll have these bracketed elements. These are placeholders. So you have to, for here, for example, you would delete this placeholder, or at least you would type over it, and you would actually put your title. Now I have to say this because I've seen it happen before. Make sure you delete the brackets. I've seen paper submissions that keep the brackets, but those are just placeholders. You want to delete them for your final draft. So more or less self-explanatory, you would go through and you would change these different elements to match your particular assignment. Notice that there are comments. These comments more or less inform you about the different elements of the template. Now you'll notice, for example, here it says consult the Southern Seminary Manual Style. So one pro tip, if in a syllabus your professor lists somewhat generically, make sure to follow SBTS style. That's all they say. What they mean is use the template which matches or conforms to the manual style. Use the template, use it correctly, which is what this workshop is intended to teach you. Use the template and, which we'll talk about just a little bit toward the end, use Turabian, also known as Chicago. Chicago is the big one. The big umbrella. Turabian is a subset of Chicago. And whenever you hear SBTS style, we follow Turabian citations. The differences would just be that Southern style is more specific, mainly related to the paper template itself, how we organize the elements of the paper. But for citations, footnote, and bibliography citations, we follow Turabian. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So anytime you see generically follow SBTS style, it means use the template and use it well and use Turabian citations. So that's why in this template we have basically parallelisms. You know, for this part of the paper, the title, you can actually read more about it in the manual style. The good news is You don't actually have to read the manual style cover to cover to master or at least be good at formatting. The templates basically do all of the SBTS style for you. So as long as you use the template well, you're actually conforming to SBTS style well. And that's what these comments are designed to do, to give you instructions and guides on how to use the template well. Now, you'll have all these comments. You do need to make sure before you submit this on Canvas that you delete the comments. So you could do this one of two ways. You can click each comment, you go to the review tab, and you just press the delete button, and it goes away. Maybe you just leave them all there until you're done with your paper, at which point, if you're done with all of them, you can go to the review tab, the delete drop-down menu, and delete all comments in the document. And you'll see now that they're all gone. That's good. You need to do that. If you don't do that, when you submit this on Canvas, you submit it as a Word document or as a PDF, it'll actually look like this to your professor. It'll be smaller on the page, 8.5 by 11. It'll be smaller than normal, and they would see all of these highlights and they would see all of these comments, which the professors don't need. These are for you while you're working on your assignment, and then you delete them. When you delete them all, it'll look like this without the comment boxes. And when you save it, it'll be flat. It'll just look like this. And that's what you want. So we can just scroll through and we see we have the title page with different elements that are hopefully self-explanatory. Here we have the body of text. There's 3 parts of a template. There's the title page, there's the body of text, that's the actual paper itself, and then there's the bibliography. So here, each of these elements is already formatted. So this is a real paragraph that's formatted as a paragraph. This is a block quote formatted as a block quote. Now, the content is explanatory information, much like the comments themselves. This is just to give you instructions and also links to helpful information. So this is formatted as a first level subheading. So you can see what it looks like, centered bold, 2 spaces above. Second level subheading, centered left aligned with the left margin, 2 spaces above. Third level subheading, which you'll notice is unique, it's actually built into the paragraph. Sometimes I've seen students that do third level subheading like this, where it's indented, but it's actually built in. And one of the things that I'll probably say again later is very helpful is whenever you start a new assignment, you pull up the unaltered template, this one, and save as, theology paper 1. And you always have the unaltered template with you. This is helpful so you don't have to keep downloading it. It's also helpful if something goes wrong in your template and you're like, well, I can't remember what is a third level subheading supposed to look like. You can always compare your paper to the unaltered template and see what went wrong. What's really helpful is if you right click and go to paragraph. What you see here in the paragraph box is what is happening in this particular style. So this is a paragraph style. It's indented, first line 0.7 inches, which you can see here. There's a 12-point space beforehand, so there's an extra space built in, and there's exactly 24 spacing. That's how wide the lines are, how far away they are from each other. 24 points of space. This is what SBTS means, by the way, by double spacing. So just so you can see the difference, if I actually clicked line spacing at double, it is actually wider. Let me just click it. You'll see that it expands. That's true double spacing. When SBTS uses is exactly 24-point spacing, and you can see that here in the paragraph box. So again, if something went wrong, you would compare this box in your paper to this box in the unaltered template, and you would just match them. That's kind of the troubleshooting method if formatting has gone awry. Here you see the Greek and Hebrew. If you're actually writing a Hebrew word, so let's just put here in the title, we want to type the word logos. You need to use, for the Greek word, Greek characters. So you actually have to download a Greek keyboard in order to do that. That's different than the font, but the font, it needs to be SBL Biblet, which you can download right here. Right click, and you see it's automatically Times New Roman. I want SBL Biblet. Of course, now my keyboard is in Greek. So now back to English, and here is the right font. If you don't do this, sometimes in different forms, different formats, like if you save this as a PDF, it could be this doesn't look like Logos. It actually looks like random syllables, almost like that, or maybe like that. So that's why you want to use the right font. Now, if you are using English characters, maybe you say Logos in Greek, and then you want to give the transliteration, which is using English characters to mimic the sound of a Greek or Hebrew word. Times New Roman, English characters, of course, and then italics. So this is transliterated form, Times New Roman, and this is the actual true Greek form, SBL Biblet. And all this applies with Hebrew as well. So there's that. And again, if you just click on this link, you'll get the font, and then these links will give you keyboards. So this is what it looks like, and this is actually how you type, the L on an English keyboard corresponds to the lambda in the Greek keyboard, for example. And then you have your honor code. All you would need to do is just put in your course number. And then the last part is bibliography, the placeholder citation. I usually add my citations here, and that way you'll notice that if I go to the second line, it's indented 0.35, just like this, so I know the formatting is correct, and then I just delete this when I'm done. So that's just a quick overview of the template and a couple tips here and there. What I want to do is show you a couple things. First is, I do want to talk about page numbers, but I want to first talk about styles, and then I want to talk about section breaks and then page numbers in that order. So the first thing is, all of these things in this document are all pre-formatted for you. So assuming that you don't change the formatting, everything is already what it needs to be. You just need to put in the right information. Let's take the title, for example. You'll notice that when I click on the title, this box, so we're on the Home tab, in the Styles section, this box was highlighted in gray. What that means is this line has the style, first page of text title applied to it. That means that it goes 2 inches down from the top of the page, and that it's all caps and centered, and there's a little space, extra space before the first paragraph. If I put my cursor here, you'll see that the box goes to body of text. That's the automatic formatting applied to this blurb. That is 0.7-inch indentation. You can see that here. 24-point spacing, which is how wide apart the lines are, and left aligned, not centered. For the block quote, I'm not going to do this for all of them. For the block quote, you'll see the block quote style is attached. This is very, very helpful. If something goes wrong, all you have to do is apply the right style. So maybe you copy and paste a citation from the Bible from your browser online, and you paste it here, and you want to turn it into a block quote. It most likely won't be formatted as a block quote originally because it's coming from a different source, in which case you just copy and paste it. It might be a different font. It might even be a different color. All you have to do is put the cursor at the beginning and press the body of text or the block quotation, whatever the style is. So let's take, for example, I'm in this paragraph, I'm writing this paragraph, and I want to write a block quotation. I press enter, and I say, Allison, well, maybe I say it here, Greg, Allison says, comma, I press enter so I can type my block quotation. Now it's automatically formatted as the paragraph. It carries over the formatting, but now I want to put in my quotation. So I do it. I type my quotation out. Maybe I have a book in front of me. I type my quotation out, but now I want to make it a block quote. All I have to do is put the cursor somewhere in that space, press the button. You'll notice it automatically formats it for me. 0.35 indentation, just like this. Similarly, if I was to, I type in my heading, And now I want to type in my paragraph. Well, notice after headings, as well as after block quotes, I press enter, and I have a text. After these things, the word automatically formats it as a paragraph, and you can see that because the style is body of text. Here, first level subheading, you press enter, automatically body of text. That's good, that's easy, that's what you want. Maybe you want to do a new heading, then you would do that manually, which I'll show you in a moment. But the main thing to remember is just make use of these boxes. Use them as they're already here, and then as you add new content, like this quotation, you can copy and paste, and then it might be weird, and then you just press the button to auto-format it. You can also right-click, and sometimes you have these different paste options, and one of them is, what's it say? There's one on the far right that says like something to the, I can't remember right now, but something to the degree of you want whatever you're pasting to look like the style that's already here. So maybe you already have, maybe you just keep this here and you want to delete this. Notice the block quotation style is still here. You don't want to disrupt it. So when you press paste, there's one right here. See if I can pull up a browser and get some text. So let's just copy and paste this text here. You'll see that it more or less, it gives me Times New Roman 12, but it also gives me these numbered or these lettered links, which we don't want. It also gives us the verse numbers, which we don't want. So here you could just easily delete them manually. Another option though, you see that it's already block quoted, is we right click, and here we go, keep text only. We don't want the formatting of the source. We just want the formatting of our document. So keep just the text of this quotation. You'll see here, of course, that it keeps the letters, but now they're not weirdly formatted. I prefer this method because there's no change in formatting. You just have to delete the extra characters. You delete. And what you're left with is the correct style, and you know that. There's no confusion. So a couple tips there. All you have to do is follow the styles. These are all the styles. I think there's 16 of them. These are all the styles that you need. If you see extra styles in your template than the one in the unaltered template, it's probably because you brought in new information. And so I think, like, okay, so title is there, but sometimes you'll see extra ones that are not these. That's probably because either something went wrong in your formatting, or maybe you copy and pasted from a different source, and in that source it brought with it a style. You just have to be careful. Again, any confusion, any difference, you always want to compare your document to the unaltered template, see what the difference is, and then just do troubleshooting to compare yours to the unaltered template and make those corrections that are needed. So in summary, just use the styles. When in doubt, find the right style. There's not that many. I do want to talk about section breaks, but I'll talk about that in just a moment, and then page numbers. If I was to start writing a new paper, this is how I would begin doing it. I would take the template and I would create like a pre-formatted template for my needs. The first thing I would do, which could be the last thing that you do, is to delete all comments in the document. So remember, review tab, delete drop-down menu, and then delete all comments in the document. Again, you might do that at the end, but maybe you've done this before, you're familiar with the template, you just need the template, you don't need the comments, you've already digested them, you just delete them all. You come in here and you would put in your placeholder, you would remove the placeholders with the right information. I'm not going to do that at this moment. I think it's pretty straightforward. What I would do is I put my title, and I'm going to call this my first paragraph, my introduction paragraph. You do not need a first level subheading for your introduction because every first paragraph of every paper is the introduction. I don't need any of this. Again, I've already digested it. this is going to be my first section heading. So I'm just going to call it section 1. This paragraph is going to be just text, right? I know I'm going to write text here. It's pre-formatted as a paragraph. Again, if I press enter, this is the same paragraph formatting. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to keep what's below for now. I'm going to type in section 2, enter, text, section 3, enter, text. And there's only 3 sections, but we have a conclusion, text. So everything but the section headings are already formatted. So what I'm going to do now is put my cursor at the beginning of the headings and just click first level subheading. First, not second. And now I have the elements that I want. I'm going to delete all of this. I don't need it right now, except for the honor code. And here is my pre-formatted, ready to go template. I often save this kind of thing. And when I work on a new assignment, instead of going through all those steps again, I just pull up this document as it looks now, and I start applying the new information. So from here, you can do whatever you need. You need to write a second paragraph, just press enter. Maybe you decide in section 2, you realize, hey, I need subsections. I didn't think I was going to need them, but I need them. So that's not a problem. We just auto format. Type in the information just based on what you think you're going to do. And here you go, your subsections are formatted. Of course, you can do this live, like you don't know how many you're going to have, so you're just doing section 1. So you type in section 1, subsection 1, press the second level subheading, you press enter, it automatically formats it as a body of text or a paragraph, and you just keep going. And following these steps, creating new content using these boxes, and you finish your paper. Anything that goes wrong, you just make sure that the correct style is applied. Something doesn't look right, you compare it to the unaltered template, and that's the process you follow until your paper is done. Save it as a, well, you can submit a Word document or you can save it as a PDF, submit it to Canvas, you're good to go. That's how I would go about doing my papers. We'll come back to this document momentarily. Let's just briefly go to the book review. The book review template is almost identical. In fact, the styles are the same styles. There might be a couple extra, but it's the same rules. The only difference is related to the title, page title, and the first page of text title. So here, as advertised, your title of your book review is just the book being reviewed, the title of the book. So if I'm reviewing Dr. Allison's Sojourners and Strangers, the Doctrine of the Church, I'm just going to type that right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Sojourners and Strangers, the Doctrine of the Church. Now, if for some reason this went to 2 lines, if it was a longer title, what you do is there's actually more. There's title page title. There's title page title 2 lines, which is what we want in this case. I'm going to click it. And there's title page title 3 lines. You'll notice each one gets closer to the top depending on how many lines there are. So in this case, like I said, we want title page title 2 lines. So we put the title of the book being reviewed here, and then instead of the actual title being repeated, we actually put the bibliography citation, and we would not use an actual bibliography at the end, which is why you see in the template there is not one. If you're doing a book review, this is more typical for doctoral level. Maybe you're asked to engage other book reviews on the book that you're reviewing, then you would include a bibliography for those other sources, but you wouldn't repeat this one. So this is kind of doing everything you needed to do. You don't need footnotes when you refer to this book. If you were quoting the book or paraphrasing something very directly, you would just cite it parenthetically at the end of a sentence. So let's say this is a quotation. So we're going to end the quotation with a closed quotation mark. We're going to use parentheses, and we're going to put a page number, let's say 21, and then a period. The reader is going to know that you are referring to page 21 of this book. And if maybe you're comparing 2 books, you would put 2 citations here probably. So you press enter, first page of text title. It makes this big gap. So this will be book 2. We don't want this big gap. That's just for the title to be 2 inches from the top. What I would do is just right click, paragraph, and you'll see there's 72 points of space before. We don't want all of that. We're going to change it to 12. We just want one single space between the two. We're going to give the book 2 citation and just carry on. So what I would do in the parentheses is maybe I've seen this before, comparing Augustine to, I forget who it is. Maybe it's Arius versus Alexander. I can't remember. But you just put the last name and the page number, and then maybe if you quoted Alexander says, quote, and then in parentheses, you would put Alexander 15, although in this particular case, Alexander is in the sentence, so it's pretty clear that you're citing page 15, in which case you may not need that, but in the event that it would be unclear, this is really the method that you would use. It's flexible. When in doubt, for clarity's sake, use this method for multiple authors. When it's really obvious, just use the page number. And this would be all that you would do. You would not use footnotes when referring to the book. So that is how I would do a book review. And maybe if I was auto formatting a book review, let's just do it with one title, one book. This would be my introduction. This would be my summary. Well, this doesn't need a heading. Summary, text, critical evaluation. That's my third section, text, and conclusion, text, evaluation. And then again, just like I did earlier, I'm going to auto format these headings. And I would delete all that, and my book review would be ready to write. The introduction, remember, it doesn't need a heading. You can have one. I don't ever do it. It's just too obvious. Everyone knows that this paragraph will be the introduction. And then that's generally, for most book reviews, that's all you need to do is these 3 headings, and you're good to go. So that's, again, how I would auto format or pre-format my book review, and how I would pre-format my template, my research paper template. But going back to it, I mentioned I wanted to talk about section breaks and page numbers. So first, let me talk about section breaks. Your paper is divided into 3 sections: the title page, the body, everything in here. This is one big section according to Word, even though there might be multiple sections of your writing. This is all one section. Your body is one section, and then your conclusion is section 2. Now, how do you know that? Well, there's an invisible formatting feature on the Home tab, which is the, I forget what it's called at the moment, but it's the paragraph symbol. You just press it, and it will show you all the invisible things happening. Little dots for spaces, the paragraph sign for hard enters. If you were to press Shift and Enter, it would be an arrow. So this is a hard enter. And if you scroll down, you'll see section break. Now, you've probably heard of a page break before. It's different than a section break. So you'll notice at a section break here, that actually starts everything in the body as a separate section. Until you get to the very end, there's another section break, and there's bibliography. How do you create a section break if it's not there? Sometimes they get deleted on accident. So if I was to highlight this line, you'll see that there's extra space here. It's actually capturing invisibly the section break. So if I press delete, well, actually in this case, it kept it. But oftentimes, you won't know this, but it'll look like this, and what's happening is actually taking the section break away. Press delete or a backspace, and you realize that your title is not 2 inches from the top. Well, what's happening here? Well, so turn on this. Oh, there's no section break. I need to create one. What I would do, put your cursor right here, go to the Layout tab, Breaks, drop-down menu, Section Break, Next Page. And now we have that section break where we want it. But let's say you put a section break, you know, because it was here, and now it's not, you think, oh, I have to put my cursor here. So Breaks, drop-down menu, Next Page. But now you'll see we have this extra space. You might not notice that if you have this button not pressed, but you might see this is a little bit further down than normal. You could click until your cursor does something. Oh, okay, there's an extra space there. This is actually really important for maybe there's too many spaces above your, so if I had typed out something, if I was reviewing your paper, I'd see, oh, there's too many spaces here. You need to reduce the space. There's probably an extra space. It's also common in footnotes. Footnotes often have extra spaces on accident. Well, how can you tell that more easily? Press this button, and you'll see the symbol. That's an extra space. We don't want it. Get rid of it. Same thing here. We added our section break here, but we don't want this extra space. Press delete, and now everything's easy peasy. Now, why does this matter? Well, two reasons, two primary reasons, we might say. First is we want the formatting to reset. So on the next page, we want this to be 2 inches down. So we have the 1 inch here. We want an extra inch. Now that extra inch is built into the formatting in the style. It's 72 points. That and the magic of a Word document makes it 2 inches. If you had a page break here, so let's go ahead and delete that and layout breaks, and we're going to add a page break. You'll see that it's 1 inch from the top. It doesn't go down all the way. But why is that? The title page style is applied. It looks like it's not. Let's apply it. Okay. We applied it, and we're going to double check it. Paragraph. It hasn't actually changed. Title page. Oh, that's title. We want first page of text. There we go. We have it close, but it hasn't gone 2 inches down. Just one. We double check by right-clicking, pressing paragraph. We see that the 72 points are there, but it's not 2 inches down. That's because of the page break. The page break just pushes information to the next page. Same section, different page. We want to reset the formatting, so we don't want the page break. We want the section break. And of course, we added it on the wrong place, so we press delete, and now our title is correctly 2 inches down. That's why you want to maintain your section breaks, so that you can maintain the proper formatting of the styles, which are already pre-formatted, but they don't always work correctly if they're not if the formatting at the beginning and end of sections isn't adjusted. This is very important, for example, for your doctoral projects that have multiple chapters and appendices and front matter and back matter and all that. When things go awry, it's usually because of a missing or dysfunctional section break. Now, and another thing that can happen is instead of page breaks, I just see, so maybe on your, well, let's do it at the bibliography. How about that? Let's see, back. There we go. Sometimes this gets deleted right here, and the bibliography often appears bottom. So what students will do is they'll just press enter, enter, and I'll see a bunch of these on this page until the bibliography is down, which again, with your page break, if you did a page break, you might just press enter. Oh, that's about 2 inches. I think I got it right. No, because the section break's gone, and even if you have the style for bibliography title, that's a manual space. We don't want the manual, we want the automatic. So we want the section break to be preserved. So again, layout breaks, section break, next page. And then since we did it here and not here, we just have to delete our extra space. So everything's good to go. But what often happens when section breaks go awry is that the page numbers get messed up. The page numbers get messed up for a variety of reasons. I have no idea why. I'm really good at formatting, and even my page numbers get messed up. It's just crazy things happen. As you can see here, we did a lot of changes to the section break. It actually deleted our page numbers. So for research papers and book reviews, the first page of the paper, not the title page, there's no page number there. First page of the body gets page number 1. And then the counting continues, and the bibliography continues from. So let's say our paper ended on page 15, bibliography page 1 would be page 16. But we did all this stuff with section breaks. You might have that problem. You mess with the section breaks like I taught you. You get everything correct. Formatting is good, but oh my goodness, my page numbers are gone, just like they are here. Where did my page 1 go? Well, why that happens, I don't know. How to fix it, I can teach you. So there's a couple tools. Double click the margin. We want to put page numbers in the body. So another reason why section breaks are helpful, I told you there are two main ones. One is what I taught you, the resetting of the formatting. The second is getting your page numbers correct. The title page, which is its own section, takes no page number. So this is correctly page numberless. Good. So we come down here to our body, which is its own section, bibliography, its own section. We want page numbers in the body. First, we don't want different first page. In other words, we don't want a page number here at the left on page 1, and then for pages 2 through 15, bottom centered. We don't want that. We want them all to be bottom centered. So we don't want different first page. If you do the formatting that I'm about to show you, and then you realize that this is clicked, it'll typically delete the formatting that you just did, so you have to repeat it. So it's easier if you unselect different first page first. You also don't need to link it to the previous, because this section is its own thing with regard to page numbers, so we don't want that either. Now you'll notice when I unclicked different first page, page 2 came up. Now why is that? If I did different first page and I clicked out of this and we got to have 2 pages, you'll see here there's a different first page. So this page, there's no footnote, there's no page number. Here there is, because different first page. First page is different from this one. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and undo until we get to our single page. Well, actually, let's keep that so we can see the 2 pages being the same. So pages, this page and this page are our body, and we want them to have the same footnotes. So we unclick different first page. We do not have link to previous selected. Now we encounter a problem of this is page 2. It needs to be page 1. Yes, in Word, it's page 2, but remember, the title page takes no page number. So our first page of the body needs to have page number 1, not to fear. What we're going to do is we're going to highlight it. I don't even know if you have to highlight it, but we go over here to page number, and we go to format page numbers, and we click start at 1. We want this to be 1. Sometimes it might be 2, it might be weird. Just change it to 1. If for some reason, well, first let's stick with this, page 1. Let's double check. Okay, page 2 is page 2. That's good. We can safely assume that the rest of the body will be correct. If it's not, you would use this function to fix it. How do you find that? First thing you do, so here's your normal text. We still have these symbols turned on just to help us. We double click the bottom margin, which pulls this up. You can actually leave this tab, or maybe something happens and you change maybe it's bold and you unbold it. Okay, well, how do I get back to those? Just go to the new header and footer tab, which is not there unless you double click the footer. So we go to our footer tab, page numbers, format page numbers, make sure you're correct. So our body is good. Now, does the bibliography continue? No, it doesn't. Okay, that's okay. Now we go and we follow our steps. We don't want link to previous. We don't want different first page. It is page 3, which is good. That's a good thing. We want it to continue, but maybe it was page 1. This sometimes happens, for example, in bibliography, doctoral projects with multiple chapters. Chapter 2 might be page 1. Well, we don't want page 1. We want the next page after the end of chapter 1. So we're going to make sure that different first page, no. Link to previous, no. Highlight, page number, drop-down menu, format page numbers, continue from previous section. That's what we want. And of course, it already is continuing. But if for some reason it was starting at page 1, it would look like this. This is a common error. It happens often. We just follow our steps, format page numbers, continue. We want to continue. Page 3. Now, what happens if the page number is not there, and we do different first page and it's not there, but we can fix that by our troubleshooting method. We don't want that. But what if it's not actually there because it's not actually there? It's not even on page 2. It's not in the body. How do we get it back? Well, not to fear, same thing, header and footer tab, page number drop-down menu. Here we're going to create one, bottom of page, and the second one is center. And you just add it there, and now our page number is back. So the two things you need to know about the drop-down menu, bottom of page number 2 for the center, and to create a new page number, and then format page numbers to correct your the numbers themselves, 1, 2, etc. That's how you troubleshoot your page numbers. And I think that's all you need to know about that. Again, various things go wrong, but what I've showed you is really all you need to know to make them right. As in my experience, I don't think I've encountered a page number problem that cannot be solved by what I just showed you. If for some reason that's not working, you can always email the Writing Center your question, maybe send your document and kind of tell us, I'm encountering this problem on this page, I'm not really sure how to fix it, and we can take a look at it for you. So just to summarize, we talked about styles built in, followed them. We talked about section breaks, specifically at the end of your title page and at the end of your body to separate 3 sections, title page, body of text, bibliography. And we talked about page numbers themselves and some of the issues that happen with them. And of course, this little helpful tool, the paragraph button, which can show you some behind the scenes errors. Now that really covers most of the formatting basics. And some of this is more than basics, but it's basic in the sense that this is all that you really need to know to format any of your assignment well, and to troubleshoot any issues that happen along the way. What I would like to do is, this is not a workshop on footnotes, but I want to give you a little bit of tips on footnotes themselves. How do you create a footnote? Because remember here, we got rid of our placeholders, so of the template placeholders themselves. So now we're just left with the bare bones template, this. That's not a problem, but maybe we want to say, we're going to introduce a quotation. So we have Greg Allison says, and of course says is not the strongest verb, but it'll work for our purposes, quote. And he says, you quote him. After the end quotation mark, we're going to put a footnote. So we're going to go to the References tab. We're going to press Insert Footnote, and you'll see the page goes down. But let's just pause, go back up. It creates a footnote reference number, automatically formatted, superscripted, all that. And then it connects that footnote reference number to the footnote itself, which is also pre-formatted. So here you would put a citation. And you'll actually, if you pull up our menu, you'll see that it already has the footnote style applied. If you copy and paste something goes wrong, just press the footnote style button. I usually just put the cursor at the beginning, not at the number. I just put it right here and I press the button. So maybe let's just change the formatting just for a moment. Let's change this to 12-point font. I think that'll be a good example. Well, we don't want 12-point, we want 10-point. Well, you could just change it manually like I did, or you can put your cursor at the beginning, click the button, it'll do it for you. If you highlight it, you'll notice that it actually resets the formatting of the number, which we don't want. So that's why I generally put the cursor here at the beginning of the citation itself. If you highlighted the citation itself, let me give you an example. So if you're not familiar with citations, we use SBTS citations, which follows Turabian. Turabian is a subset of Chicago. You don't have to worry about all that. Turabian chapter 17 has examples of different citations, books, journal articles, online articles, YouTube videos, Twitter, you name it. Chapter 17 of Turabian, 9th edition, has all those examples. We also have the SBTS citation quick guide or citation guide, which has a lot of the common examples of citations. So you can reference that to learn how to do your Turabian citations or SBTS citations well. But let's take an example. So we cite Greg Allison. We're going to give his name, comma, this is his full name. This is the first citation of this resource. We're going to give the title of the book, which is, in this case, Sojourners and Strangers. The subtitle, The Doctrine of the Church. And this happens to be part of a series called The Foundations of Evangelical Theology. And we're going to spell foundations correctly. That's the series title. Then we're going to give the publication information in parentheses, starting with the city, which if I remember correctly is Wheaton. The state abbreviation, 2 letters, all caps. This is for uncommon cities or common cities that people aren't necessarily familiar with. You would not put, so you put a colon after that. You would not put the state abbreviation for, like New York City, Boston, Dallas, Nashville. If there's any ambiguity, for example, you're going to cite Cambridge University Press. Well, that's in Cambridge, United Kingdom, England. Well, it's pretty obvious. This is the city. How do I know it's the city in the UK? Well, because the university tells us. But if I was citing Harvard, if I'm citing the right school, I can't remember if Harvard is in Princeton, but Cambridge, Massachusetts, I'm going to put Massachusetts as the state abbreviation. So for Wheaton, we're going to do Crossway. That's the publisher name and the year, 2012. And let's say we're citing page 15. Notice there's commas after everything, except for the publication information, which is always in parentheses. Now, this is just for a book, a single author book. If you're doing a journal article, it would look different, and a YouTube video, different. That's where you reference your citation guides. This is just an example. This is an example of a long citation, or what I call a full-length citation. I have never cited Greg Allison's book before in this paper, so I give a full length. Maybe later on, I cite him again. So I create a footnote, references tab, insert footnote, footnote 2, automatically numbers it for you. Now I'm going to use what I call a short form citation, which is just the last name, title, shortened if it's too long. In this case, the title itself, not the subtitle, title itself is only 3 words, which is great. Sometimes there's really long titles, in which case you just pick several words, a few words. You don't always pick the first couple. If it doesn't make sense, you want the title to make sense to the reader for easy reference. And let's say we're citing page 16. This is what I call a short form citation, last name, title only, or shortened title, page number. We don't use IBID anymore, which just means the book that I just cited, whatever I cited above, IBID. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. We don't use it anymore. Sometimes people will do name, page number only. This is called what I call super short form. You could use this, but you only can use it under specific conditions like this. It has to appear directly under a short citation or a full citation on the same page, But what if you add more content? What if you add more footnote content and the citation, in this case, taking a while, goes to the top of the footnotes of the next page? Well, now there's no referent. So you would actually have to manually go and add the title. But that's cumbersome. That's trial and error, and things change. What we do instead is we just always use full length for the first one, and then everywhere else in the document we use short form. We never use super short form. So those are kind of the basics of formatting the footnotes. Now you can also do more with your footnotes. You can have discussion. So maybe I cite Greg Allison, I quote him, and maybe I want to disagree with him on something, or maybe I want to point out something or emphasize something that maybe he missed, or maybe he doesn't talk about as much. I can actually keep on saying, like maybe I can keep commenting on this. This is not connected necessarily to the flow of my body, my argument, but I want to tell the reader a special little note before I move on. But I don't want to disrupt the flow of the body, so I put it here. Though Allison is correct in arguing X, he misses, or let's say he neglects to mention Y. This is a comment, just a minor comment, but I think it's important to make about this particular quotation. And you can make that in the footnotes just like this. So you can use your footnotes as like a sub-argument. Now, you don't want to go off and say random things. You want them to be really tied to your argument, but they're little micro notes. Oftentimes you are talking about something that's connected to maybe 5 different things. Well, you can't talk about all 5 of them, but you want to let your reader know that you know all 5 of those things are connected. So you might make a note of that here. You might say something to show your reader, show your professor, show your grader, hey, by the way, I'm familiar with this discussion, but I can't get into the weeds. I need to move on in this particular direction. You can use your footnote discussion to give a brief note. You might also say, because you can't talk about it so much, you have to keep going. For more information on this topic, or maybe a specific subtopic or nuance, see, and then you can give more citations. So you might give citation 1, citation 2, citation 3. So you're going to keep going in your body argument. You're not going to have this disrupted by this note, but you do want to give this information to your reader so that if they want to learn more about this particular topic, even though you're not going to give them more on it right now, you direct them to more sources. And this is also helpful. What if you mention multiple sources at the same time? You just list them, connecting them by semicolons. So if, for example, this is going to look really weird, if we cited this source 3 times, we're just going to pretend that it's a different source. We're going to 1, 2, 3. Very weird, I know, but see Greg Allison, da, 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 da. Here's the end of our first one, semicolon. Here's our second one, da, 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 15, semicolon, all the way to the end of the third one, period. And that's how you do that. So I've given you one example, which is for more information. There's other things that might necessitate multiple citations. You might say something in the body like, the scholarly consensus on this topic agrees that blah, blah, blah. Well, who are some examples of people you're saying the scholarly consensus? Who are they? Or can I have some examples maybe? You want to tell your reader, your professor, your grader, I know, I'm familiar. I'm not just saying something generic like, oh, everyone knows this. Everyone agrees. If you say, well, for example, so you might say, see, for example, or you could even use the abbreviation EG, which just means it's a Latin abbreviation, and that means, for example, in English. But let's just stick with the English. See, for example, citation 1, 2, and 3. So there's more people that agree about this topic I'm talking about, but just so you know that I know, here's 3 examples. There's more, but I want you to know I'm familiar with this thing. So you can use your footnotes in that way for greater discussion. Can you subdivide your footnotes in multiple paragraphs? Sure, if it merits paragraphs, just like in the body. Maybe if this paragraph becomes too lengthy, maybe it's more than 4 sentences, it's too long, and you have more to say, you could create a new paragraph. Of course, you'll see paragraph 2. There's an automatic space after, which is good. We want the space between the footnote and the next one. But here, we don't want the space between the paragraphs within the same footnote. So what we do is just manually change it. Paragraph, we don't want the space after. We want it to be 0. We just manually change it. Well, here's going to be our second paragraph. Just a tip there on footnotes and how to use them, and to use them for more than just giving citations. So this is just a quick overview of SBTS formatting with regard to research papers and things related to it. And of course, what we talked about is our book reviews and assignments related to it. How to pre-format it for quick running, just to go through it, as well as how to use section breaks, which are not really visible unless you press this button, how to troubleshoot section breaks, how to troubleshoot page numbers, how to use the invisible formatting tool, if things go awry, and things of that nature. So this is just a quick crash course as we've advertised on SBTS formatting, and I hope it's been helpful. Of course, if you're watching this video in the future and you have questions for us, always feel free to email us at sbtswritingcenter.edu or writingcenter@sbts.edu. There you go. And send us any questions you have about formatting. And remember, if you submit a paper online and you have formatting questions, you can put those questions in the submission. When you fill out the submission form, you can put those questions at the bottom in the appropriate box. So hope this has been helpful. I hope it serves you well for your future assignments. And I wish you the best. Take care.